in this manner. You're going to have 10 minutes to present your books. We are strictly going to be focusing on the time. After every presenter has presented, we will present all of us, then have a session for question and answers, and then we'll wrap up as that. I just want to check, all of you who are in here, are you presenting a Black South African male who has published in Sepedi English? He has written more than 50 books that range from language, poetry, drama, novels, short stories, folklore, and children's books, some of which are read in South African schools. Several of his books have been translated into other languages, indigenous languages of South Africa, like Setswana, isiXhosa, isiZulu, and so forth. He is the winner of 27 awards, among them the Maskew Miller Literary Award in 2007 for The Boy with the Guitar, African Heritage Literary Award with Vanava Mpa, Pencil Multilingualism and Nation Building Award, Sanlam Prize for Young Literature with Kiahwa Kiaiketela. He is mainly writing for children and youth. The titles are The Blind Date, The Girl Who Wanted to Be a Boy, and Oletlhabile Legaela. Thank you. The stage is yours.
Okay. But let me start with my first book, The Girl Who Wanted to Be a Boy, which has a character in the name of Mohadi. Mohadi is a 13-year-old from rural areas who's an orphan living with a grandmother, and she has to look after the family's goats because there is no boy at home. The sad thing that happens is that she is abused by the uncle, and sexually so. So because of that, Mohadi hates being a girl. She thinks everything is happening to her because she's a girl. So from then on, she associates with boys, play football with boys, and because of that, she even develops boyish traits. And the opportunity comes when the grandmother decides to move her from the village to the uncle in Johannesburg, where she actually wanted to save her. So once she gets there, she realizes that the uncle is naive because of how she's built and the clothes that she's wearing. The uncle doesn't realize that she's a girl. So they start treating her like a boy, and that was advantageous to her. And she was actually traumatized by what the uncle did. So every time you did something that the uncle will do, then you will be in trouble. And she was doing it unconsciously. So one day, as she walks with the cousin who was on drugs, they go to the shop. They were sent there by the uncle's wife. And then a certain boy called Tolile takes chances with her. But he thought he's a boy, but he wanted to rob him, not her. And then Mohadi reacts. And it doesn't end well because Tolile was injured and he fainted. And the next day when she has to go to school, there was the story about a very tough young girl who beats up boys. And actually a very tough young boy who beats up girls, who beats up boys. So she had a reputation when she gets to school. And everyone was afraid of her. Unfortunately, she had a male friend whom she was playing soccer with. In other words, she had a reputation, but she was loved for her soccer prowess, but she was taken as a boy. And what she didn't realize is that people were watching that, and some got the news that she's actually not a boy, she's a girl, whereas she has presented herself as a boy. And then when the news reached everyone, a friend of hers in the name of Naum tells her that, Mohadi, your bubble has been blown. Everyone knows that you are a girl. And it doesn't sit well with her. She stops going to school. She stays at home, and she's even actually envisaging to go to sit in the streets. But now come to a rescue by telling the teacher, who was actually also a lesbian. That teacher had already realized that this person is pretending to be a boy, but by the way she behaves, you can see that she's a girl. Then they go to her, they speak to her, and they convince her that she's not wrong by wanting to be a boy. She can choose whatever she wants to be. And then she feels welcomed, and she goes back to school. And we have another one, which is the blind date. The blind date is actually the story of a blind girl whose school relocates to another township. And this girl wants to be, actually is a good athlete, and she's supposed to be preparing for the athletics competition. But when she goes to the club, the guy there doesn't welcome him, the coach. And the reason being that the coach has got a daughter who runs the same race with the blind girl. So the coach is trying to protect their daughter to be the best one in the athletics team. But there is a boy who's injured who decides that he will take the girl under his wing and train and prepare her for the championships. And when the coach hears about it, then he targets the boy. And on the eve of the athletics competition, people attack the boy so that he cannot go and lead the girl during the competition. So he goes to hospital, but there is another friend of theirs who go to hospital when he was welcome there, and he takes him along to the race. And what happens at the race there is that one girl whom the coach had chased away because he was jealous of, just take it upon herself that she will be the one who will lead the girl to win the race. And she goes to win the race. And the moral here is that the coach was chasing away people who were better than her daughter, who actually were who were actually gifted more than her, but at the end of the day, it's the very same people who help the blind girl to go and win the race. How many minutes am I left with?
Still left with 6 minutes.
6 minutes. Oh no, I can really make a summer. And this is a speedy youth novel called Ulutribile Lagaela. Ulutribile Lagaela is about the girl who has just lost her mother. She doesn't know her father. And then she goes to stay with the aunt who was actually addicted to gambling. So it happens that she owes one of the matronisas some money. And then in return, she offers the girl, who was only 16 years old. And the girl is taken by the guy, and they go all the way to Matatiele, where she finds that she's the fourth wife of the old man who's much older than the aunt. And when she arrives there, she suffers the rigors that go with living in a rural area. But fortunately, the second wife, took a liking on her and started to protect her. So the main thing here is that time when the guy has to go into the house with the girl and do that thing. But now the second wife doesn't want that to happen because you can see the girl is very young. They are buying time hoping that something will save the girl. And she had to pretend that she's on her periods and stuff like that until the girl gets a phone and calls her friends back in Johannesburg, who now trace her where she is, tell the police, and she's rescued on the eve of the guy sleeping with the girl. So this is what the book is all about. Then I have a short story, stories for our youth. I can only talk about 2 stories here. There is the mayor's son. The mayor's son is a story of an Inkadi who was sent to go and kill the mayor by the rivals, political rivals. And then in the process of killing, you find that the mayor was with his 6-year-old son. And the son also fell victim. And this thing traumatized the Inkadi. On the day of the burial of the mayor, he went to the burial, to the funeral. He didn't know why he's there, but it's because he's traumatized. And then he feels that he did something wrong and he has to be there. And it's a roller coaster of emotions during the process of the program. When people speak, sometimes he feels that he did the right thing, sometimes he feels that I did the wrong thing. He remembers is his son's birthday on that same day, on the day when they're burying the child who's as old as his son. Then at the end of the day, he decides to go home and confess to the mother because of what happened at the funeral. And then there is Prayed by the Prince. Prayed by the Prince is a story of a young boy and a young girl. This young girl who pressurized her friends because you must lose your virginity. And it's a big thing, apparently, amongst yourselves. And she tries it with a hunk from the school. It happens, and it's actually something like a memo of what happened until she lost her virginity. And the unfortunate part is that she fell pregnant on the first time. And what happened is it was just regret. Yeah. Or maybe I can also touch on The Jump. The Jump is the story of a young boy who was paralyzed during a rugby scrum. And after that, he could no longer play contact sport. So he takes up bungee jumping. So one day, as he was doing bungee jumping with a friend, an old man comes and sits on the rails of the bridge and is trying to commit suicide. And then when he looks at the man, he notices that is the man who once actually sponsored the rugby team at school. And he's trying to convince the old man not to do it. And then the old man really is bent on doing it until the boy convinces him that, well, now you just have a problem because of recession and your funds are not well, but you can reverse that. But as for me, look at me now. I'm enjoying my life because I was rescued from a spinal injury. I could not move, but after some time now I can even jump, not only move, but I can now jump. So it means you can also get out of the whole mess and you can also gather your life. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, as I was saying that unfortunately he just couldn't miss this, and I was just like, okay, now let's see if I can actually try to represent you well. So the title of the book is Mpoya Moswana Noshi, and I think I have just been there with him writing it from the beginning and up until the end. So I can just say, maybe I can just do 80% justice, but at least he's here, he can be able to talk. I mean, also in terms of answering the questions. So that's just the book information. It was published this year in May, and it was edited by Mr. Tladi. He's the educational specialist in Capricorn District, and it was edited by Mr. Lunga. He's also one of the friends, is the educator at Mananga Primary School, and also Mr. Daniel Masilela is the colleague that he was working with. So as I was preparing this, I just asked him to say what I never actually knew and understood what actually inspired you to write this book. So he got inspired to write this book because of his profession. He's an educator and he is teaching Sepedi language, but he is from Mawa, Odwa Kosi Kolomo Jaji. So, but you know, he's teaching Sepedi. So he was inspired because of the fact that he is a teacher. He is teaching learners in high school, and when you look at the learners, the AI children or the AI learners are very different from the us who just used to read books and stuff. So and also he said that he would just love to contribute to the African literature, specifically Sepedi, and also the preservation of culture. That's what he said, that because he is teaching Sepedi, but also the book's environment or setting is in Bolobedu, if you check. So he's also trying to do that in the light of Bolobedu or Kilobedu not being recognized as one of the official languages. But I'm happy also with what was discussed there about, you know, keeping our culture, what is happening on television, although, you know, we might not be sure if that is the true reflection of what is happening to the Kilobedu or Balobedu culture. But at least there is something to preserve that. And also, tackling of current challenges, which is child abuse, there's a theme around that, and also substance abuse and bullying. So I'm just quickly gonna move. So this is just the summary of the book, and I just made it simple for myself in terms of the theme. So one of the key themes that I love the most, it's the theme of education. I am a lover of education. I'm always reading books myself. So yeah. So the main character in the book is a boy called Dimaka, who was just a special child. You know, from the name you can tell Dimaka is mysterious. So the boy, from the time when he was born, there's just a lot of things that has happened, but we can resonate with it because each and every person has a purpose and we are all special in our own way. So I can relate it in that sense. And then the boy's academic excellence. His academic excellence in terms of reading, in terms of comprehending. The education now, there are these small books that our kids are given. I have a 10 and 8-year-old who always comes with a book that has activities for each and every week. So the boy's excellence, he was just going through and writing everything in that in the books. So the teachers were amazed by that. That was his journey. And also another theme is the theme of leadership. There's a very special theme that I like as well, because you know there are LRC policies. When we grow up, even when I was in high school, I just knew that there was LRC, and then there would be elections, and then fast forward, and then they go into a meeting, fast forward, and then nothing is coming out of that. So there's actually policies that are not implemented actually. So that is coming out very nicely as a theme that learners should take the center. So as a learner, you should be here and be able to say, this is what I would prefer to be taught. Also looking at how the current generation is. And solution-oriented to challenges. Usually, if you look at, I love giving example with our institution that here, most, the heroes of this country comes from this institution. The struggle comes from this institution. Cyril Ramaphosa comes from this institution. But if you look at the generation now, you would see that we always like want to be safe, play it safe, stay back. You know, if something is happening in class, we don't want to be there and say, I am here. We'd always want to stay back. So that is also one of the things that I love about the book. And responsible, there is a part that is very sad, but it's talking about at the time when he came out and said, let's combat the issue of substance abuse in the school. And unfortunately, he got beaten up to a pulp and he nearly lost his life. And also the challenges in schools, bullying, it cannot be addressed enough. We know what happened in Venda with the young girl there. We know what is happening in our schools with regards to substance abuse. And also underperformance. He said the other word in the morning, said there's something called chronic underperformance. And I was like, it feels so wrong. Because can you really put a school and say the school is chronically underperforming? It's not a very good reflection. But with the likes of Dimakas of this country, to stand and say that this is what we can do in order to make sure that our grade 12s are doing better. Outcome-based education, results-orientated country. And then the issue of spirituality. As much as it's an uncomfortable theme or it's an uncomfortable issue in our society, it is happening. We see children coming to school in a certain manner, they are wearing their beads, and spirituality cannot be deduced to traditional healing. There is a lot more in African spirituality that we can explore and learn about, rather than saying African, rather than putting it like it's African healing. And also the spirituality, Dimaka's mom was prophesied before Dimaka was born, and during his journey, it means that he had something like that, but the writer put us in suspense. I would perhaps maybe love a part 2, maybe perhaps. But yeah, so I think in a nutshell, Dimaka for me is so learner-centered, and to say to each and every person, know your purpose, take the stand, be the center of your life, explore and love and discover your talents as a person. So basically that is what the book did. And I think from the teacher's perspective is the fact that learners should take ownership of their work. They should love doing their school work basically. And then, you know, we are living in the digital. I already see him taking videos of everyone. Chances are he might be able to compile something also for marketing, you know. Yeah, so basically this is where the book, where you can get the book. We have the book there. The book is also available on Take a Lot, and already we also have the ebooks there. And amazingly, people are buying, you know. I just wish that we can get a situation to say who bought the ebook. We just got something that the ebook was bought, and you know, we know our friends who are far away, who don't want to give it, who don't want to they actually get it from Take a Lot, and it produces like the best and the similar copy of what we have actually. Yeah, I can just hope and think and wish that I represented you well, sir. So thank you. Well, I buy a lot of books. I'm a bookworm by a special one, written by my husband. So I just wanted to try and get something special in here. So, but I'm weighing, obviously, between this and this, there has to be a book, but definitely the book. So let's see how it looks like. If it's the same as the ones we have. Okay. Wow! Is this even real?
So this is how the book come.
Yes, from
From
yours
what?
truly.
From
Yours truly.
Take a Lot.
Take a Lot. Yeah.
Okay.
People prefer to call me Worship because it's a name that they don't really know. A lot of people have this name. So this is my first book titled Livengode. It is translated to English titled What Kind of Hatred Is This? You may ask, Ore, what is it that is talking about on this book? Here we're talking about a young girl called Muraro. This girl was born at a rural area. She grew up with her mother and his older brother Taizo. The name Taizo is problem. If you don't know in English we call it problem. So this boy, his name, he took exactly what his name means. In this book we explain that he is a problem at home and at the community as a whole. So Muraro was having a stress, Chauri. She doesn't have a time to study. Whenever she wants to study, Taizo came, drunk, playing loud music, disturbing her, so she can't focus on her studies. So when she tries to tell him, or no, you're disturbing me, don't do that, Taizo threatened to beat her. And when she told her mother tried to defend Taizo. She stand on Taizo. She didn't even try to warn Taizo to stop what he's doing. But the problem here started when Muraro's mother started to listen to her older sister, Miss Sarah. Miss Sarah was getting in between Muraro and her mother. This old woman, she has a jealousy with her sister. Or if Muraro get educated and she got a work, she got to successful, she has to take her mother to different places. So Miss Sarah has to make Muraro, she must not get educated. So Miss Sarah always tell Muraro's mother, or your daughter doesn't go to school. When it's time to go to school, she goes to boyfriend, she does this and this and this and this. And then Muraro's mother didn't even take time to investigate what she has told. She just take a decision from what she has told. And she disciplined Muraro badly. And that may make an impact. Muraro didn't even perform well at school. So when Muraro was at grade 12, she even tried to commit suicide because she was stressed on what she was going through. Then she was rescued by one of classmates.
Good. Is it what after? Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Tulside Buddha, as I've been introduced by the chair. I am a lecturer at the University of Mpumalanga. In 2021, I gained interest in writing for children. I remember I bumped into this other book by Lebohang Masango called Mpumi's Magic Beads, and she was having so Lebohang, when she was seated, I think she was wearing a Ndebele duke with these colors, or it was just closer to her. Masango is a Ndebele surname, so you know we don't have a lot of Ndebele writers. So I was like, oh, who's this lady? You know, and I bought her book and I read it. I was like, okay, this is doable. I mean, I'm an academic, but I'm willing to to get to the level of children and write also, because I was inspired by her writing skills. So for my PhD, for my master's and PhD both, I was focusing on Ndebele, art which reflects symmetrical geometry, what we call ethnomathematics. So ethnomathematics is the relationship between culture and mathematics. So I was studying how the Ndebele beadwork, the shapes reflect symmetrical geometry. So symmetrical geometry is a shape, a reflection of a shape. So it's like taking a mirror and putting it like this and putting a shape here which will reflect on the other side. So that's how Ndebele beadwork is. Yes, so I was looking at that on the shapes women do, claiming that they are mathematicians who never attended any formal schooling, yet they understand basic mathematics and geometry. So after then, I decided, you know what, a lot of people actually do not know that Ndebele practices, like the beadwork and the paintings, mural art, we call it mural art. It's a cultural practice. A lot of people, if I were to be wearing something like this, because I'm always Ndebelefied, or I'm wearing Ndebele, those who were here during spring lecture, I was wearing a big Ndebele blanket. So people will always associate me with a certain, legend of a woman. Now she's very old. So people did not understand that the Ndebele beadwork and the Ndebele paintings are a cultural practice. Almost all women, do it, especially the elder women. So I said, these were my participants, and I'm going to change their story to a book, but I'm going to make it about one person. So what I did, I just combined the stories, made it.
A Piece of Life is not a short story. When I saw the program, it was too late. The school was holding me up during the week, so that after the death of my father, that's where I started to realize. That's where I will come to this book of Pieces of Life in a moment. I just want to go through the other stories. So there's, from my book which was released this year, The Tales of a Young Mind. This is a short story book. This is the story which I love the most, Comfort Zone. This is where I started to realize that when my father was still alive, I was drowning in my comfort zone. He pushed 150% for me to have a good life. I was only just contributing 50%. So I felt like when he passed away, I let him down. So this short story says to me that even if I'm the writer, it motivates me to remember that we have people in 1976 who died for us. But if we were to look today, our youth are all over the place, being spoiled by social grants. Where we are struggling, jobs are nowhere to be seen. So comfort zone story is that we have to move away from comfort zone and start to live. And one poem which I will read here. This book is Bless and Poems. I write in all genres. They say write what you feel. So anywhere I go.
You put it on.
So this one is Till We Meet Again. I was astonished because you left a huge void in my life that will never be filled again. It is always painful when a good person's life journey becomes a memory. I still can see you in my eyes, hoping we still cross paths in paradise. I can still feel your presence, as if it was yesterday when you sat for a cup of coffee. Life is a chapter of few golden moments. we count down the years as if we are blinking in a few seconds. So pieces of life, this is where everything started. My father passed away in 2017, so I was still in, that was the new year, so 5 January, that's when he passed away. So from here I was in grade 10. That's when I started to challenge myself and ask myself, I didn't make him proud, but I still have my mother and all my siblings. Why not make them proud? He's gonna see it from above. So that's what motivated me to come to this book. So this is a motivational book which has 6 chapters. I will just give you a hint of the chapter. 6 chapters.
Gone re ngwadile di-story tše pedi gone be ke tlo bolela ka tše ke di ngwadile. Sa mathomo ke hlompho e kae, mašale ke ngwala bokeki ya hlompho e kae. Ke ile ka romela ke sa le monyane ka dula go batswadi ba khebile ka moka ebile e ba ma ruta hlompho ka moka. Nna pele ke ntho e khebile ke dile ka bokeki ya hlompho ka thoma sereto sa gona se gonana ka motho story sana se ekeke. Bokeki bolela ka matomo e ba go ngwana wa go ba le hlompho a bereka ka go a phela ka go hlokomela dikgomo tša batswadi ba gagwe. Go ba go ne le bašimane ba babedi ba ke go be go malesele le malosi go ba go le bagwera ba ke ba e seneng hlompho. Kokomologa le mahlako ke bageko le ba ke ba rata go tšea maloko a dikgomo e ne pele ba ye ba kgope ka one ba phela ka madišong ba emetse dikgomo tšele tša matemodidi ya maloko ba kgone go a tšea ba kgope ka ona. Ba rata go tlela matome mafela le dinawa, matomo ba rata mafela le dinawa kudu. Tšatši le lengwe matomo o ile a rapitše le bagwera ba gagwe ka madišong. Kokomologadi o ile a re matomo ngwana ka nagana gore ke go tletše le matomo a re ke diapole. Nempele kokomologadi o ile a ntšha mafela le dinawa, matomo o ile a bolela ka lethabara ke mafela a ke a ratang kudu ke a leboga koko. Kokomologadi a re matomo ngwana ka bana ba hlompho ba swanela ke tše di botse. Malesele le malosi ba bolelela fase malesele a phlap malosi e kwa bagekoloana ba ke ba reng ba ra gona le wena ga se ra swanela ke tše di botse. Kokomologadi o ile a kgalema ka bogale a phla lena ba natena le a thoma ka lenyatšo le la lena. Mologadi la lata maloko re sa hlatelela ko maminane pele ba sepela. Tšatši le lengwene pele matomo ile a ra.
Some of us might say that the hardest one is teenagerhood. Yes, it is tough and we get through it somehow, but it's not easy. Now, in this book, we have so many stories that help us deal with such problems. This book is a seed that plants hope into the minds of our youth, into the minds of peoples. It is a book where peoples can elicit the deepest emotions deep within their hearts and souls. It consists of poems and short stories that acknowledges peoples to encourage them to never give up and to tell them that they are not alone. This book focuses on the challenge that people face in their daily lives, such as teenage pregnancy, rape, peer pressure, drug abuse, gender-based violence, bullying, depression, nyaupe, education, etc. This book was compiled with the purpose of restoring hope. It consists of 9 authors with different schools who speak in one big voice to the youth of South Africa. Now, we went through a lot of challenges with the aid of other publishers led by Charles. We have gone through so many things, but at the end, we were finally able to reap from what we sowed. We were finally able to be acknowledged and approved by the Department of Education, the Tswane Library, not forgetting the SABC too. Now, we have done so many things. All I contributed to many of the stories and poems are 4 different short stories, each talking about different challenges that youth faces. It also tells you how to escape it and what happens when you leave it. Now let me tell something. In these, nothing is good from it. Peer pressure, whether it's education or it, you need to choose the right path, because whatever you choose now will affect tomorrow. Now, one of the stories I have done are peer pressure, which talks about a young lady who only had 1 friend in high school. Yes, 1 friend, and that's all enough, if I say. But she went to a talent show. With her great gift, a lot of people loved her for her voice, and she got the wrong group. She had to make a decision whether she go with the right to her old friend or follows the other ones. She followed the other ones. And now let me tell something. In life are not the same. People have different lives and backgrounds. Their standards were much higher than hers, and she couldn't keep up. But yet, she tried following something that she couldn't. And the only person who got damaged was her. She had to steal from home, she had to lie to her friends, she had made excuses for events that she couldn't go because of some family business, apart from the fact that she didn't have money for it. At the end, they found out that she didn't have the money, and they let her go. And now she was friendless. She was crying, alone and hopeless, until her friend had the gut and the heart to go back to her and showed her that it doesn't mean if they're friends. Friends accept you for who you are, not for what you look for. Now, the other story is gangsterism. Now, it also starts with peer pressure, but it goes deeper. After choosing the wrong friends, they start stealing, whether from home, from strangers in the streets, until they become a gang. Now, he was determined to be a gang, to be the best of the best. And one day on the streets, he got caught by police. Then a cat and mouse chase began. He went through all the neighborhoods, cornering, until he became cornered himself. He panicked, so he took out a knife and stabbed brutally the cop, leaving him dead. But before his death, he was able to call for backup from the other cops. After his brutal assault, they were able to find him, and as he looked for help, some of us might say that the hardest one is teenagerhood. Yes, it is tough and we get through it somehow, but it's not easy. Now, in this book, we have so many stories that help us deal with such problems. This book is a seed that plants hope into the minds of our youth, into the minds of peoples. It is a book where pupils can elicit the deepest emotions deep within their hearts and souls. It consists of poems and short stories that acknowledges people, to encourage them to never give up and to tell them that they are not alone. This book focuses on the challenge that people face in their daily lives, such as teenage pregnancy, rape, peer pressure, drug abuse, gender-based violence, bullying, depression, nyaupe, education, etc. This book was compiled with the purpose of restoring hope. It consists of 9 authors with different schools who speak in one big voice to the youth of South Africa. Now, we have went through a lot of challenges with the aid of other publishers led by Charles. We have gone through so many things, but at the end, we were finally able to reap from what we sowed. We were finally able to be acknowledged and approved by the Department of Education, the Tswane Library, not forgetting the SABC too. Now, we have done so many things. All I contributed to many of the stories and poems are 4 different short stories, each talking about different challenges that youth faces. It also tells you how to escape it and what happens when you leave it. Now, let me tell something. In these, nothing is good from it. Peer pressure, whether it's education or you need to choose the right path, because whatever you choose now will affect tomorrow. Now, one of the stories I have done are peer pressure, which talks about a young lady who only had 1 friend in high school. Yes, 1 friend, and that's all enough, if I say. But she went to a talent show. With her great gift, a lot of people loved her for her voice, and she got the wrong group. She had to make a decision whether she goes with to her old friend or follows the other ones. She followed the other ones. And now let me tell something. In life are not the same. People have different lives and backgrounds. Their standards were much higher than hers, and she couldn't keep up. But yet, she tried following something that she couldn't. And the only person who got damaged was her. She had to steal from home, she had to lie to her friends, she had made excuses for events that she couldn't go because of some family business, apart from the fact that she didn't have money for it. At the end, they found out that she didn't have the money, and they let her go. And now she was friendless. She was crying, alone and hopeless, until her friend had the gut and the heart to go back to her and showed her that it doesn't mean if they're friends. Friends accept you for who you are, not for what you look for. Now, the other story is gangsterism. Now, it also starts with peer pressure, but it goes deeper. After choosing the wrong friends, they start stealing, whether from home, from strangers in the streets, until they become a gang. Now, he was determined to be to be the best of the best. And one day on the streets, he got caught by police. Then a cat and mouse chase began. He went through all the neighborhoods, cornering and cornering, until he became cornered himself. He panicked, so he took out a knife and stabbed brutally the cop, leaving him dead. But before his death, he was able to call for backup from the other cops. After his brutal assault, they were able to find him, and as he looked for help, some of us might say that the hardest one is teenagerhood. Yes, it is tough and we get through it somehow, but it's not easy. Now, in this book, we have so many stories that help us deal with such problems. This book is a seed that plants hope into the minds of our youth, into the minds of peoples. It is a book where peoples can elicit the deepest emotions deep within their hearts and souls. It consists of poems and short stories that acknowledges people, to encourage them to never give up and to tell them that they are not alone. This book focuses on the challenge that people face in their daily lives, such as teenage pregnancy, rape, peer pressure, drug abuse, gender-based violence, bullying, depression, nyaupe, education, etc. This book was compiled with the purpose of restoring hope. It consists of 9 authors with different schools who speak in one big voice to the youth of South Africa. Now, we have went through a lot of challenges with the aid of others publishers led by Charles. We have gone through so many things, but at the end, we were finally able to reap from what we sowed. We were finally able to be acknowledged and approved by the Department of Education, the Tshwane Library, not forgetting the SABC too. Now, we have done so many things. All I contributed to many of the stories and poems are 4 different short stories, each talking about different challenges that youth faces. It also tells you how to escape it and what happens when you leave it. Now, let me tell something. In these, nothing is good from it. Peer pressure, whether it's education, you need to choose the right path, because whatever you choose now will affect tomorrow. Now, one of the stories I have done are peer pressure, which talks about a young lady who only had 1 friend in high school. Yes, 1 friend, and that's all enough, if I say. But she went to a talent show. With her great gift, a lot of people loved her for her voice, and she got the wrong group. She had to make a decision whether she goes with the right to her old friend or follows the other ones. She followed the other ones. And now let me tell something. In life are not the same. People have different lives and backgrounds. Their standards were much higher than hers, and she couldn't keep up. But yet, she tried following something that she couldn't. And the only person who got damaged was her. She had to steal from home, she had to lie to her friends, she had made excuses for events that she couldn't go because of some family business, apart from the fact that she didn't have money for it. At the end, they found out that she didn't have the money, and they let her go. And now she was friendless. She was crying, alone and hopeless, until her friend had the gut and the heart to go back to her and showed her that it doesn't mean if they're friends. Friends accept you for who you are, not for what you look for. Now, the other story is gangsterism. Now, it also starts with peer pressure, but it goes deeper. After choosing the wrong friends, they start stealing, whether from home, from strangers in the streets, until they become a gang. Now, he was determined to be the best of the best. And one day on the streets, he got caught by police. Then a cat and mouse chase began. He went through all the neighborhoods, cornering and cornering, until he became cornered himself. He panicked, so he took out a knife and stabbed brutally the cop, leaving him dead. But before his death, he was able to call for backup from the other cops. After his brutal assault, they were able to find him, and as he looked for him.
So I involved myself in writing novels. I also write poetry. So I've typed out and written my novel, but it's not yet published. So I'm just hoping that one day I can get it published so that everyone can get to see it and get to read it. Because I really feel good about it. Because once you're done writing, you're very much proud of yourself and things that you've done. So my novel is fictional. It's full of adventure. You can give it like kids so that they can read. So it's called Well in the Forest. So this novel is just about 2 friends who live within a village, which is on an island. And within this village, all things are beautiful and all that. But then there's something that's disturbing about this certain area. There's something it has secrets. You know that places can be beautiful, then there's a point in which now they will have secrets and like these sipping things. So one of the characters, which is Anne, who lost both of her parents because they are explorers, and so like they explored some part of the village which was restricted from them, and so they never came back. So it's been like over 15 years without them being back. So like Anne has been separated from her parents and together with her friend Dave. So like Dave also lost her mother. I mean, he lost his mother in like a plane crash, but then within that plane crash, the plane crashed into the ocean, but then they were never found, so they don't know what happened to them. So Anne within this is an optimistic girl. She's determined to find her parents. She doesn't believe that her parents are dead, so she makes sure she's going to find her parents. So she brings along her friend Dave, but then Dave is like more of a skeptical person, so he doesn't like, you know, things. He doesn't believe much. But then since Anne is like someone who likes persuading people to do things with her, she ends up making Dave come with her, and then they enter into a forbidden forest, which is like very scary. They get there and like they see weird things. It's very scary. It's restricted. It is said to them you shouldn't go there. But then Anne sees them that she wants to find her parents, so she does everything in her power to go there. And there's a certain well within this forest where they go down the well, and within that they find a new world. And it's very lucky that Anne finds her parents, Anne finds her parents, Dave also finds the mother. But here's the problem. Now they have to get back to the village, and it's impossible for them to get there, because it was said that whoever goes down the well will never ever come up. But then, since Anne is determined to get out, because now she has found her parents and now she wants to live with her family, she tries and she attempts to get out of the well. So she uses a rope, and then they climb up the rope, but then it is said that there is a huge hairy beast that will follow anyone who tries and gets out. So as they do that, they hear footsteps, they hear panting, and then they see this other container, like, because now they have scared and it's in the dark, they can't really see what's following them. So they enter into a container, and at that moment the beast, whoever it is, opens the container. But then I suspended it so that you can like keep on thinking, what happened to Anne? Did the beast eat them? Or yeah, that's what I wrote about. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Anne is the beast.
Wow.
Very interesting.